Luxury fashion sells fantasy, images of effortless elegance, timeless beauty, lives lived in perfect taste. And the families who control these empires understand better than anyone that image is everything, that a single photograph can build or destroy a brand worth billions, that maintaining appearances requires constant vigilance. Yet those same dynasties who dictate what the world considers beautiful often live behind closed doors, where succession battles rage, where siblings sue siblings, where murder and madness and spectacular feuds make tabloid headlines the brands desperately try to suppress. Now the mathematics of luxury create peculiar pressures, for these are not industrial fortunes where competence can be measured in quarterly earnings. Indeed, fashion empires rise and fall on taste, on cultural relevance, on the founder's vision remaining intact across generations. And when family members fight for control, they're determining whether the patriarch or matriarch's aesthetic survives or gets diluted by heirs who never understood what made the original vision revolutionary. Thus, today, we explore the families behind the names that define luxury and discover that selling perfection to the world offers no immunity from the chaos that visits every dynasty when billions and bloodlines collide. In the heart of the grand headquarters of LVMH, a monthly ritual unfolds as the world's wealthiest man, Bernard Arnault, summons his 5 children to a family gathering. This is no ordinary home-cooked meal filled with the mundane chatter of what everyone did on the weekend. Instead, within these gilded walls, an enthralling spectacle that rivals the gripping drama of the TV show Succession unfolds. As Arnault, the 74-year-old patriarch, navigates the conversation around the table, he seeks strategic counsel from his offspring, scrutinizing their ability to helm a $500 billion luxury empire. The meeting commonly runs a tension-soaked 90 minutes in length, each answer warping into a make-or-break statement that could seal the fate to determine who among Delphine, Antoine, Alexandre, Frédéric, and Jean will ascend to control the prestigious mammoth syndicate of Louis Vuitton, Christian Dior, and Tiffany & Company. You see, this saga of power and legacy is more than a family affair. It's the Arnault children's private audition for the crown of LVMH. In today's episode, grab your luxury handbags and latest couture items as we take you on a journey through how the world's richest man will make the biggest decision of his life, picking an heir to his massive luxury empire. With a net worth that often hovers between $180 and $220 billion, Bernard Jean-Etienne Arnault is not just a player in the luxury goods market, he is the game itself. As the chairman and CEO of LVMH, he oversees a portfolio of 75 prestigious brands, including Louis Vuitton, Christian Dior, and Tiffany & Company. You see, his rapacious swallowing of iconic luxury brands first began in 1989 with his initial takeover of LVMH, but that was just the beginning of his ambitious and strategic expansion. He's continuously grown the company's luxury brand portfolio, solidifying its position as a global leader, and his leadership styles legendarily marked by an unerring attention to detail and bold expansion strategies. Indeed, Arnault is known for his surprise visits to Louis Vuitton stores, directly engaging with employees, thus wielding a hands-on approach that has been crucial in maintaining the high standards and innovation LVMH is known for. Furthermore, his forward thinking is evident in his succession planning, with a proposed reorganization to distribute equal stakes of his holding company, Agache, among his 5 children, all of whom are in executive roles at LVMH. Even better, Arnault's lifestyle mirrors the luxury he peddles. His real estate includes 5 homes in Beverly Hills, totaling $125 million, and a $22 million property in East Hampton, New York. And his Paris mansion is a gallery in itself, housing works by everyone from Jean-Michel Basquiat to Damien Hirst. But his love for the arts extends beyond personal collection. Arnault's array includes rare pieces by Picasso and Warhol, and he often collaborates with artists for his brands. Yet, beyond luxury and art, Arnault's influence additionally stretches into political realms. He maintains a close connection to French heads of state, and his philanthropy is well known throughout his homeland. For instance, A globally recognized philanthropic move he made recently was his €200 million donation to the Notre Dame Cathedral restoration in 2019, a contribution that led French tycoons to collectively donate €300 million in total for the cathedral's restoration. Indeed, this $500 billion man waltzes through the wild world of social influence with an ease that's almost unheard of in modern history, which begs the question, what makes a man with the weight of $500 billion on his mind at all times move with such effortless finesse through the volatile world of luxury? In order to find our answer, we'll have to go back to where it all began, under the industrial grey skies of 20th century northern France. In the early 1900s, northern France was a region where smokestacks painted the sky a relentless shade of grey. The rhythmic clank of machinery peppered the air, and streets were alive with the hustle of hardy souls. It is here, amidst this hive of industry and determination, that the roots of the Arnault family, now synonymous with luxury and grandeur, are firmly planted. Now, the Arnaults, even back then, not ones to shy away from a challenge, delved into the manufacturing industry with a vigour that was as palpable as the steam and soot of the factories that dotted the landscape. It was in Roubaix, a city that stood as a proud beacon of France's industrial prowess, where a child would be born who would paint the Arnault family's masterpieces. However, Bernard's father, Jean Arnault, would soon ironically decide to play with bricks and mortar instead of brush and canvas by creating a construction company long before his son Bernard made his grand entrance on the 5th of March 1949. Indeed, as we shall see, baby Bernard was not just another fortunate heir born with a silver spoon. From the start, he was a prodigy in the making. You see, his father, a shrewd businessman himself, instilled in young Bernard the intricacies of the business realm, setting the stage for his son's eventual dominance in the luxury goods market. Most assuredly, young Bernard's journey was not just a familial path he walked. As soon as he could, it quickly morphed into a runway he sauntered across. And at the École Polytechnique in Paris, from 1969 to 1971, he wasn't merely a student, he was a sponge, absorbing the nectar of knowledge, especially in engineering, science and technology. Already, here at one of France's leading engineering schools, was a young man sharpening his tools, preparing for a future where he would not just participate in the business world, he would revolutionize it. Upon his graduation in 1971, Bernard would quickly join the ranks of his father's construction company, Ferret Savinel. He was put in charge of 100 employees and quickly attempted to cut out his own vision within the family business under his father. But here's the twist. Young Arnault wasn't content with just being a part of the family law. He wanted to rewrite and expand it. Thus, in 1974, in a move that would have left Machiavelli nodding in approval, Bernard Arnault masterfully convinced his father to swap the rugged terrain of construction for the more lucrative vistas of real estate by giving birth to Ferinel, a company with a keen focus on holiday accommodations. Like a chess grandmaster, Arnault orchestrated the sale of the company's industrial construction arm, pivoting firmly towards real estate, where he deftly expanded their empire. Come 1981, with the French Socialist Party seizing the reins of power, Arnault, ever the strategist, whisked his family off to the US. There, over 3 years, he continued to weave his magic, growing Ferret Savinel's property portfolio. Yet 1984 marked a dramatic turn in Arnault's saga. Leaving behind the world of Ferret Savinel, he embarked on an audacious journey into the realm of luxury goods. In a bold, calculated move, and with the support of Antoine Bernheim of Lazare Frères and Company, he amassed a cool $80 million. But this war chest wasn't for a cautious foray. It was for a grand, theatrical plunge into the opulent waters of the luxury sector. His target? The then bankrupt French textile giant Boussac Saint-Frère, the proud owner of none other than Christian Dior. Therefore, this wasn't just a business maneuver, it was a statement. It was a declaration of Arnault's arrival on the luxury scene, setting the stage for a new era of elegance and extravagance. In 1984, Bernard Arnault found himself at the helm of the parent company of Christian Dior, marking the beginning of a pivotal chapter in his career and the luxury fashion industry. And indeed, his initial move was strategic and transformative. He quickly dove into a rigorous process of corporate rejuvenation, a task that demanded both surgical precision and a visionary's foresight. You see, Arnault's approach was twofold. First, he streamlined operations with a keen eye for efficiency and effectiveness. He did this by meticulously identifying and shed non-essential assets, a process that involved trimming down the conglomerate to its most profitable and promising elements. This proved to be a move that not only improved the financial health of the company, but also allowed for a more focused and coherent brand strategy. Simultaneously, Arnault nurtured the core luxury brands, particularly Christian Dior. He recognized the inherent value and potential of Dior and set about reinforcing its position in the luxury market. This involved investing in high-quality materials, refining the design and production processes, and ensuring that every Dior product exemplified the pinnacle of craftsmanship and style. Furthermore, Arnault focused on expanding the global footprint of Christian Dior. He strategically opened new boutiques in key luxury markets, enhancing the brand's visibility and accessibility. These stores were not just retail spaces, but embodiments of the Dior experience, designed to immerse customers in the elegance and sophistication of the brand. Thus, his relentless focus on resurrecting Christian Dior laid the foundation for what was to become a luxury powerhouse. Under his stewardship, Dior not only regained its lost glory, but also started setting new benchmarks in the luxury fashion industry. But Arnault's ambitions extended far beyond a single brand. He was building an empire, and 1987 marked a pivotal year in this venture. In a move that would redefine the luxury goods sector, Arnault orchestrated the merger of Louis Vuitton with Moet Hennessy. This wasn't merely a merger, it was truly the birth of a luxury goods empire, with Arnault firmly at its helm as chairman and CEO. Soon thereafter, Arnault, envisioning a conglomerate of high-end brands, faced initial skepticism. Yet, with his by then already legendary strategic acumen, he transformed this vision into a triumphant reality, amassing over 70 luxury brands under the LVMH banner. Next, by the mid-1990s, Arnault's ambitions had taken another tangible form in New York. His goal of cementing LVMH's presence in the United States culminated in the majestic LVMH Tower, unveiled in December 1999. And this architectural marvel stood as a symbol of his bold strategic foresight. And during this transformative era, Arnault's approach to mergers and acquisitions was a masterclass in corporate expansion. Under his guidance, LVMH's value surged by over 1,000% and profits increased by 500%. Furthermore, the mid-90s saw LVMH expanding its empire into new territories like Asia, with countries like China and South Korea eagerly embracing their luxury offerings. This led to a period that wasn't just about growth, it was about crafting an image and persona that epitomized luxury and success. LVMH set trends and became trendsetters, with campaigns like Louis Vuitton's 1997 Centennial Collection capturing not just eyes, but hearts worldwide. Indeed, by the turn of the millennium, LVMH had firmly established itself as the largest luxury products company in the world, a financial icon of Arnault's visionary leadership and the relentless pursuit of excellence. And yet, all the while, Bernard Arnault was thinking 2 or 3 decades ahead, wondering who he would have to pass the baton to when it was time to ride into the sunset. In the next chapter, we'll get a chance to meet his partner in crime when building that soon-to-be legendary succession plan. Bernard Arnault and Hélène Mercier, a Canadian pianist of considerable renown, first crossed paths at a dinner party in the fall of 1989, a meeting that turned out to be a prelude in a remarkable journey intertwining culture, music, and high-stakes business. You see, Mercier, a Montreal native born in February 1960, had been a piano prodigy since the tender age of 6, and her talent was not just a fleeting whisper. It was a resounding roar that earned her accolades at the Quebec and Canadian music competitions and the Prague International Chamber Music Competition. The romance between Arnault and Mercier blossomed rapidly, leading to their marriage in 1991, and this union was not just a merger of hearts, but a fusion of cultural depth and business savvy. Specifically, Mercier's entrance into Arnault's life brought a melodious balance to his entrepreneurial rhythm. She embraced the role of stepmother to his children from a previous marriage, and together, The couple expanded their family with 3 more children: Alexandre, Frédéric, and Jean. Now, by the early 2000s, Bernard Arnault's net worth had skyrocketed, catapulting him towards the zenith of global wealth. And it was around this time that Arnault's deep-seated passion for art and culture became prominently visible. He founded the Louis Vuitton Foundation in 2006, a French art museum and cultural center, backed by LVMH. The foundation's building, a monument to deconstructivist architecture designed by Frank Gehry, that same year, marking a new chapter in Arnault's cultural endeavors. But Arnault's love for art wasn't confined to institutional walls. He emerged as a distinguished art collector, acquiring masterpieces from Picasso, Warhol, Yves Klein, and Henry Moore. His collection, likely worth an unspeakable sum, was a vivid reflection of his personal investment in the arts. Concurrently, Arnault steered LVMH through a strategic expansion in the early part of the 2000s decade, and his acquisition spree broadened LVMH's luxury fashion portfolio significantly. In 2001, Arnault led LVMH to acquire Fendi, an Italian fashion giant, a move that was a crucial step in enhancing LVMH's luxury fashion footprint. Initially, LVMH had bought a stake in Fendi, along with Prada in 2000, but by November 2001, LVMH had emerged as the majority stakeholder, buying out Prada's share. Next, in 2004, Bernard Arnault turned his gaze towards the realms of watches and jewelry. Observing a notable absence in these luxurious arenas, he deftly steered LVMH to acquire Swiss watchmaking jewel, Tag Heuer, for a cool $502 million. This shrewd move catapulted LVMH into the high-stakes game of luxury watches, promising to propel Tag Heuer into uncharted territories. Similarly, 2011 heralded the acquisition of Italian luxury titan Bulgari, further cementing LVMH's dominance in the high-end jewelry sphere. Arnault's knack for fostering growth and synergy was unmistakable, and 2013 witnessed a fusion of luxury and art, epitomized by the Louis Vuitton and Jeff Koons collaboration. Arnault's penchant for marrying the art world with luxury fashion underscored the role of LVMH as a trailblazer in the luxury industry. And 2017 was a banner year for the Wolf in Cashmere, with a whopping 42 billion euros in revenue. However, as the registers raked in more dough, the clocks raked in less time. The decades were passing, and Bernard Arnault had still not picked a clear successor for his now 14-figure empire. As it stands today, no one individual child has been named as the clear heir to the throne, but we have a few secret ideas on who will get the crown. Let's investigate that answer in the final chapter of this saga. In the captivating saga of likely heirs to the $500 billion Arnault family empire, Delphine Arnault emerges as a central figure. The firstborn of Bernard Arnault in 1975 on the outskirts of Paris, Delphine's childhood unfolded partly in the diverse landscape of New York, an experience that, rich with cultural contrasts, honed her fluency not just in French, but also in the dynamic language of English, equipping her for future global ventures. Fast forward to her education, a blend of French savoir-faire and British economic acumen, thanks to EDHEC Business School and the London School of Economics. 1997 sees her donning the graduation cap, and soon thereafter she cuts her professional teeth at the legendary McKinsey Consulting in Paris, sharpening strategic prowess. Now, the year 2000 proved a pivotal moment as Delphine stepped into the family empire. Starting at John Galliano, she swiftly ascended to Dior's commercial directorship in 2001, and by 2008, she was Dior's deputy managing director, a position that witnessed a surge in leather goods and accessories under her watch. 2013 ushers in a new chapter as Delphine becomes executive vice president of Louis Vuitton. Here, she skillfully navigates the brand through luxury market shoals. Her managerial style is as smooth as the finest silk, fostering a haven for creative minds. Fast forward to 2023, and she's the CEO of Christian Dior, a role as significant as it is historic within the Arnault dynasty. Yet, despite her impressive resume, Bernard Arnault plays coy about naming a successor. Delphine, with her growing influence in LVMH and leadership finesse, remains a frontrunner in this high-stakes Game of Thrones. But you can never be sure. Now let's shift the spotlight to Antoine Arnault, born in Roubaix. His tale begins in the United States, where he, alongside Delphine, also embraces the cultural melting pot of New York. His academic pursuit takes him from HEC Montreal to INSEAD, molding a business savant. Antoine's odyssey in the professional realm starts with an internet venture, before he joins Louis Vuitton in 2002. Here, his marketing prowess comes to the fore, particularly during his tenure as head of marketing. Then 2012 marks his ascension as the captain of Berluti, steering it to fiscal heights, followed by chairing the opulent Loro Piana in 2013. His role as the head of communication and image for LVMH in 2018 reflects not just a job title, but a strategic move in bolstering LVMH's digital frontier. Speculation about him succeeding the LVMH empire runs rampant, especially as Bernard Arnault subtly alters the company's leadership age threshold. And then there's Alexandre Arnault, born in 1992, embodying the youthful vigor of LVMH's leadership. A product of Paris's elite educational institutions and the London School of Economics, Alexandre's blend of academic rigor and a laid-back demeanor mirrors the chic nonchalance of the fashion world he inhabits. Since striding into the executive vice presidency at Tiffany & Company in 2023, Alexandre has been the wind beneath the brand's wings, injecting a cocktail of technology and innovation into its veins. He's not just a suit, he's a digital maven, sculpting Group Arnault's technological footprint with the precision of a master jeweler. Then there's Frédéric, born in 1995, a young titan at the helm of Tag Heuer. With his roots entrenched in France's crème de la crème of educational institutions, Frédéric's ascent to CEO is akin to a meticulously planned moon landing, precise, ambitious, and spectacularly successful. Under his stewardship, Tag Heuer has not just ticked along, it has boomed, with some watch models becoming as coveted as a golden ticket to Willy Wonka's factory. Not to be overshadowed, Jean Arnault, the family's dark horse, leads with a dual master's degree in financial mathematics and mechanical engineering. At Louis Vuitton, he's not just a director, he's a maestro of watches development and marketing, weaving strategy, innovation, and new product launches into a symphony of success. If you've recently made the wrong purchase of makeup the last time you were in a Target or Tesco's, your morning beauty routine likely connects you to one of history's most disturbing fortunes. Billions built on Nazi collaboration and Holocaust profits. You see, L'Oreal's Bettencourt dynasty represents everything glamorous about French luxury. Yet beneath the corporate elegance lies a foundation built on wartime collaboration with history's most evil regime. And their carefully curated image nearly survived intact until an elderly heiress's friendship with a charming photographer triggered France's most explosive political scandal. The relationship cost her over €1 billion in gifts while exposing a web of corruption that entangled presidents, cabinet ministers, and Switzerland's most secretive banks. But secret recordings captured not just evidence of systematic financial exploitation, but conversations revealing how Nazi collaboration money had been successfully laundered through decades of lipstick sales and beauty campaigns. And the same fortune that funded presidential campaigns and purchased political influence had originally grown through profits from supplying paint to German submarines and supporting fascist terrorism. In today's episode of Old Money Luxury, we share the sordid tale of how some family secrets are seen as being worth $44 billion, enough wealth to buy silence, manipulate justice, and rewrite history itself. Pascal Bonnefoy had polished silver and served champagne for 20 years before he decided to become France's most famous eavesdropper. The Bettencourt butler's pocket-sized tape recorder captured 21 hours of conversations that would expose how Europe's richest woman, Liliane Bettencourt, had gifted approximately €1 billion to François-Marie Bagnet, a gay photographer young enough to be her son and charming enough to convince her he deserved it. The inventory of generosity defied belief. Paintings by Matisse, Mondrian, and Picasso changed hands like birthday cards, while cash payments exceeding €160 million flowed alongside life insurance policies and a private island in the Seychelles. At one delirious point, the L'Oreal heiress, worth $44 billion, had even designated Barnier as her sole heir. Barnier defended his windfall with remarkable audacity. "Don't even think about it. These are gifts which I refused for a long time. They are gifts from a woman whose mind is completely lucid." Such protestations might have continued indefinitely had Bonnefoy not pressed record in 2010. The butler's motivations seemed noble at first. He testified that he could not accept the unacceptable after witnessing what he described as abuse. According to Bonnefoy, the photographer called his elderly benefactor a B-word and demonstrated his contempt by urinating on her plants, though whether this qualified as performance art or simple cruelty remained unclear. Yet the tapes contained revelations that transcended domestic dysfunction. Money laundering, tax evasion, and influence peddling at the highest levels of French politics spilled from the recordings like vintage wine from a shattered cellar. Conservative politicians allegedly visited the Neuilly-sur-Seine mansion to collect envelopes stuffed with cash. Former accountant Claire Thibault claimed Eric Werth received €150,000 for Nicolas Sarkozy's 2007 presidential campaign, while Werth served as party treasurer. More curious still, Bettencourt had received a €30 million tax rebate during Werth's tenure as budget minister. The photographer's ascent began in 1987 when he arrived to shoot Liliane for Egoist magazine. François-Marie Bagnier had previously charmed Salvador Dalí and Johnny Depp, but the Bettencourt assignment would prove his masterpiece, not of photography, but of wealth extraction. Their relationship endured for over 2 decades, a testament to either true friendship or world-class manipulation. Behind this sordid saga of geriatric infatuation and political rot lurked an even uglier truth. The fortune that funded Bagnier's island paradise and Sarkozy's campaign had origins that would horrify even those accustomed to French scandals. For Liliane Bettencourt's billions grew from soil fertilized by fascism and watered with the blood of Holocaust victims. L'Oreal sells beauty, but its founder, Eugene Schueller, sold something far uglier, his soul to the Nazi cause. The son of Alsatian pastry shop owners who rose before dawn to help prepare croissants had transformed from ambitious chemist into Hitler's eager acolyte, a metamorphosis as dramatic as the hair transformations his products promised. Born in 1881, Schueller graduated first in his class from the Institute of Applied Chemistry in 1904, seeming destined for a respectable career as a university researcher. That changed in 1907 when a barbershop owner asked him to develop synthetic hair dye. Working in his kitchen laboratory, testing products on his own hair, Schueller created the first safe hair coloring using para-phenediamine, an innovation that would build an empire and fund fascism. By the 1930s, the man who had once manufactured hair dye at night while selling it to hairdressers by day had evolved into something monstrous. La Cagoule, the Hood, received Schueller's financial backing and used L'Oreal offices for their meetings as they plotted to overthrow France's Popular Front government. This wasn't casual sympathy, but active participation in terrorism. The Comité d'Action Révolutionnaire murdered 2 Italian socialist refugees in June 1937, firebombed 6 synagogues, smuggled weapons to Spanish fascists, and planned a coup for November 1937. Schueller's 1941 book, La Révolution de l'économie, revealed the depth of his Nazi envy. "I know full well that we don't have the chance that the Nazis did, coming to power in 1933. We don't have the gift that the Germans had. We don't have the faith of National Socialism. We don't have the dynamism of a Hitler pushing the world." He also argued that France must rip from men's hearts the childish concepts of liberty, equality, and even fraternity, because they lead to disaster. Such devotion paid spectacular dividends during the occupation. Between 1940 and 1944, L'Oreal sales nearly quadrupled, while Schueller's personal income increased tenfold from 1940 to 1943. The company supplied paint to the Nazi war machine for camouflaging battleships and U-boats, generating profits that would build the post-war cosmetics empire. This growth came through collaboration with SS intelligence officer Helmut Knochen, who oversaw Jewish deportations to concentration camps and executed resistance fighters. After the war, Knochen specifically identified Schuler as one of his voluntary collaborators. Liberation brought Schuler before the Court of Justice in 1944 on collaboration charges. His acquittal in 1946 relied on testimony claiming he had sheltered Jews and funded the resistance, convenient contradictions that allowed the pastry shop owner's son to escape the fate of less wealthy collaborators. Post-war L'Oreal became a refuge for former fascists. Jacques Corrèze, who had helped the Gestapo evict Jews from their homes, rose to run American operations until Nazi hunter Serge Klarsfeld exposed him in 1991. When Liliane inherited this empire in 1957, she received a fortune built on fascist ideology and Holocaust collaboration, wealth that had multiplied precisely because her father chose to paint Nazi U-boats instead of resisting evil. Poetry discussions at journalist Pierre Lazareff's home in 1969 allegedly marked the first encounter between François-Marie Bagné and the Bettencourts, though this origin story carries the whiff of mythology crafted for society pages. The relationship that would captivate France truly began when Egoist magazine, a title that proved prophetic, commissioned the 40-year-old photographer to shoot Liliane Bettencourt alongside Federico Fellini in 1987. Bagné arrived at the assignment carrying credentials that money couldn't buy. At 16, Salvador Dali had sent his car to bring young François-Marie to the Hotel Meurice for art discussions. At 19, he had gained patronage from heiress Marie-Laure de Noailles. His circle eventually included everyone from Pablo Picasso to Johnny Depp, whose daughter Lily Rose would call him Godfather. During their photo session, Bagné deployed calculated rudeness, ordering France's richest woman to change clothes, barking instructions, treating her like any other subject rather than a $40 billion princess. Tom Sancton, former Paris bureau chief for Time magazine, understood the strategy. She was used to being kowtowed to, and this was a breath of fresh air. The elderly heiress, despite controlling the world's largest cosmetics empire, lived in what observers described as depression and boredom, trapped in a constrained, confined, codified bourgeois life. Her relationship with daughter Françoise had grown arctic. The intellectual young woman preferred books and piano to her mother's glittering social world, creating a void that Bagné would expertly fill. The photographer offered escape, excitement, and most importantly, attention from someone who treated her as a woman rather than a walking bank account, a platonic love affair that would cost more than most nations' GDP. Gifts began modestly in 1996 with transfers of real estate company shares, testing the waters of generosity. By 2001, restraint had vanished like morning mist. Bettencourt formally donated the bare ownership of 12 masterpieces valued at 20 million euros. A Picasso, Nature la Guitare, a Matisse, Grand Nu, plus works by Mondrian, Man Ray, and de Chirico, paintings that would remain in her Neuilly mansion but belonged to Bagné upon her death. 2003 witnessed an explosion of generosity. 250 million euros in gifts, coinciding suspiciously with Bettencourt's hospital stay, after which she made Bagné beneficiary of a life insurance policy worth 253 million euros. The pattern continued relentlessly: 6 million in 2004, 56 million in 2005. Another 250 million in 2006, when she modified another life insurance contract worth 262 million euros, creating a paper trail of obsession. André Bettencourt's death in 2007 removed the last barrier between his wife and her photographer, leaving her without anyone to warn her or watch out for her, as butler Pascal Bonnefoy later testified. That same year, Françoise Bettencourt-Myers finally grasped the hemorrhaging of her inheritance. Estimates ranged from 990 million to over 1 billion euros, including those life insurance policies, the art collection, substantial cash transfers, and a private island in the Seychelles. When asked why she had given €1 billion to a society photographer, Liliane Bettencourt offered an answer of stunning simplicity: because he asked for it. On December 19, 2007, Françoise struck back, filing criminal charges that would transform a private obsession into public scandal. "20 years of loyal service meant nothing when Pascal Bonnefoy watched predators circle his elderly employer like wolves around a limping deer. The 52-year-old butler had joined the Bettencourt household in 1989, witnessing 2 decades of family dynamics before André Bettencourt's death in 2007 changed everything. Without her husband's protection, Liliane Bettencourt fell deeper under the influence of advisors Bonnefoy considered parasitic, particularly wealth manager Patrice de Maistre and the ever-present François-Marie Bagné. The butler compared his moral dilemma to witnessing a car accident and not stopping to help, though his lawyer later revealed a more visceral motivation. De Maistre and Bagné wanted him out, and self-preservation sharpened his conscience. Between May 2009 and May 2010, the threatened servant transformed into France's most unlikely whistleblower. His espionage method proved brilliantly primitive. When Bettencourt received guests in her Neuilly mansion's private office, she would request refreshments, as she had for 20 years. Bonnefoy would enter with his silver tray, place it carefully on the table, then position his cheap recorder on the bureau, covering it with a piece of black felt that rendered it invisible to eyes accustomed to luxury. Security companies had swept the house for sophisticated microphones, but nobody suspected the butler's Radio Shack special. 21 hours of conversation eventually filled 28 CD-ROMs, capturing Liliane Bettencourt with her inner circle, wealth manager Patrice de Maistre, solicitor Jean-Michel Normand, and François-Marie Bagné in their unguarded moments. The recordings revealed financial crime that reached into the Élysée Palace itself, exposing a web of corruption that made previous French scandals look quaint. Conversations about 78 million euros hidden in Swiss accounts mingled with evidence of money laundering and influence peddling at the highest levels. In one devastating exchange, de Maistre reminded Bettencourt she had given Bagné an island in the Seychelles, to which she responded with genuine confusion, "Oh, I wanted to buy him an island." Another recording captured her exhaustion with her supposed best friend. "He's someone I like very much. He's very intelligent, but he's killing me. He's becoming too demanding. Give me this, give me that." The nuclear revelation concerned Nicolas Sarkozy's 2007 presidential campaign. Claire Thibault, Bettencourt's former accountant, testified that she withdrew 150,000 euros in cash on January 17, 2007, following de Maistre's explicit instructions to give to Eric Werth. 2 days later, de Maistre met Werth in a cafe near Sarkozy's campaign headquarters, a meeting that appeared in de Maistre's agenda but mysteriously vanished from Werth's official schedule. Judge Jean-Michel Gentil later tracked 2 transfers of 400,000 euros each from Switzerland, suspecting they illegally financed Sarkozy's path to power. Bagné's diary contained an even more damning entry from April 26, 2007. Sarkozy asked for money again, noting Bettencourt's affirmative response. When investigative website Mediapart published the recordings in June 2010, France convulsed. The scandal drove Sarkozy's approval ratings to historical lows and placed him under formal investigation in March 2013 for allegedly abusing Bettencourt's mental weakness, a president potentially facing 3 years in prison. The butler had lit a fuse that would explode not just one family, but an entire system of elite corruption, though mysteriously, offices of journalists investigating the affair would soon suffer coordinated break-ins. Justice arrived wrapped in legal jargon and measured in euros, but no court could calculate the true cost of what had transpired in the Bettencourt mansion. In 2015, a Bordeaux court convicted François-Marie Bagné of abuse of weakness, with prosecutor Gérard Aldiger declaring the photographer had imposed his control over her like a spider spinning its web. And once he had her in his net, he never let her go. She became his thing. The initial verdict seemed severe. 3 years in prison with 6 months suspended, a 350,000 euro fine, and 158 million euros in damages. A fraction of what he had received, but still a fortune by any measure. 7 others joined Barnier in conviction, including wealth manager Patrice de Maistre and his successor Pascal Wilhelm, each receiving 30 months with 12 suspended. Yet the French justice system proved as malleable as Liliane Bettencourt's will. In August 2016, the Bordeaux Court of Appeal transformed Barnier's punishment into vapor. 4 years suspended, a €375,000 fine, and crucially, the elimination of all damages. The 94-page decision acknowledged he had perfectly organized the flow of largesse, but dismissed notions of psychological control, suggesting their friendship had brought fantasy to Bettencourt's constrained existence. October 2011 had already delivered Françoise Bettencourt Myers her true victory when a French judge declared her 88-year-old mother mentally incompetent. Medical reports revealed mixed dementia and moderately severe Alzheimer's disease dating back to 2006, years during which Barnier had extracted his billions. Control of the €15 billion inheritance passed to Françoise and her sons Jean-Victor and Nicolas, vindicating years of accusations about systematic exploitation. Liliane Bettencourt's death on September 21, 2017, at age 94, closed one chapter while opening another. The world's 14th richest person left behind $44.3 billion and a legacy as tangled as her final years. Her daughter's terse announcement included the word peacefully, a notable choice given the warfare that had consumed the family. Nicolas Sarkozy's reckoning came later through a different door. March 1, 2021, brought France's first conviction of a former president for corruption, not for Bettencourt campaign funds, but for wiretapped conversations about the case. Prosecutors discovered Paul Bismuth phones revealing attempts to bribe a magistrate with a Monaco job for information about the investigation. 1 year in prison, 2 suspended, the court found he had sealed a pact of corruption. Today, Françoise Bettencourt Myers commands $89.6 billion, making her the world's second richest woman after briefly surpassing €100 billion in December 2023. L'Oreal generates €43 billion annually, its brands, Lancôme, Maybelline, Garnier, adorning faces worldwide. The family controls 34% through Tethys Invest, ensuring dynastic continuity. But beneath the corporate success lies an unexamined truth. This vast fortune originated from Eugene Schueler's Nazi collaboration, his profits from supplying paint for German U-boats, his support for Lacagoule's synagogue bombings. Helmut Knoschen, who deported French Jews to death camps, called Schueler a voluntary collaborator. Every euro of Bettencourt wealth carries this stain: Nazi money successfully laundered through 70 years of lipstick and face cream, still flowing through the coffers of the world's largest beauty empire. Imagine you were the childless heir to a multi-billion-dollar fashion empire in your twilight years. Who would you write in your will to receive that fabulously large inheritance? Would you follow the more conventional route of passing it over to a direct family member, or perhaps take the Carnegie route and give it all away to philanthropic causes of your choosing? However, what if you, and hear us out on this one, considered a shockingly bold gesture of gratitude, such as bequeathing it to a practically anonymous person who made a profound impact on your life in an unexpected way? Indeed, in a move that can only be described as a remarkable deviation from the expected, Nicolas Puech, an 80-year-old mega-wealthy old money heir of the Hermès dynasty worth roughly $13 billion, has decided to leave many of his billions not to the usual suspects of charity organizations or distant relatives, but to his gardener. Yes, his gardener. This isn't just any gardener, and this fellow, a 51-year-old father of Moroccan descent, has clearly done more than just tend to Puech's petunias. Described affectionately as an adopted son, he has become the unlikely heir to a fortune built on luxury fashion. But the details of Puech's original succession plan are as complex as one might expect from a tycoon. You see, originally, Puech's plan was to leave his entire fortune, estimated to be worth around $13 billion, to the Isocrates Foundation, a charity of his own making, focused on supporting journalism. Indeed, a previously signed inheritance contract with the foundation stipulates that Puech's shares in Hermès A substantial 5.7% would go to the foundation, unless he fathers a child. However, in a dramatic twist, he's attempting to sever ties with the foundation and leave around $7 billion worth of shares to his gardener by adopting him. But before we give you the sordid details of who will get their hands on the pot of gold, the foundation or the family man gardener who could gain generational wealth overnight, we have to start at the beginning and explain just how one heir, among hundreds, could give away $13 billion while his family members remain wealthy, as we describe. The history of the Hermes dynasty, a family so rich that $7 billion could go to their gardener. In the high-stakes world of luxury fashion, the Hermes family, or the Dumas and Puech clans, has crafted a narrative as captivating as the intricate designs of their coveted Birkin bags. Their net worth, a kaleidoscope of wealth and fashion legacy, soared by a staggering $56 billion in 2023, and its sumptuous source is their reign over the French fashion titan, Hermès. This iconic house, like a perfectly tailored suit, fit the year 2023 like a glove, with a 35% rise in share value, embellishing their fortune to an estimated $151 billion US. Indeed, such figures don't just speak, they shout in luxurious tones. At the helm of this luxury leviathan is Axel Dumas, a sixth-generation family member and a direct descendant of founder Thierry Hermès. Since assuming the role of Hermès CEO in 2014, Dumas has skillfully navigated Hermès through the competitive luxury boom of the last decade, elevating the brand to become the world's second-largest luxury company by market capitalization. And his leadership has been particularly impactful in expanding Hermès's presence in international markets, with a notable emphasis on Asia. And then there's Bertrand Puech, another family patriarch and brother of the aforementioned Nicolas Puech, who played a pivotal role in safeguarding the independence and family-led ethos of Hermès. His strategic maneuvers were crucial in thwarting the advances of Bernard Arnault, the one-time richest man in the world and founder of luxury conglomerate LVMH, who had allegedly sought to engage in a hostile takeover of Hermès. But Puech's actions were instrumental in ensuring that control of Hermès remained within the family, a move that has undoubtedly contributed to the brand's continued success and prestige. However, the Hermès family is much, much more than just a couple of multi-billionaire shrewd business operators. Indeed, this fashion mega-dynasty has a diverse and influential ensemble of over 100 members, with many continually exerting a profound influence over Hermès International. This illustrious group collectively owns more than two-thirds of the luxury goods maker, ensuring that the decisions and direction of the company are deeply entwined with the family's vision and legacy. As the Hermès family looks to the future, several members, including those from the Dumas wing of the empire, are preparing to launch a family investment structure, expected to be operational in 2024. This development indicates a strategic diversification of the family's interests and assets, further solidifying their influence and legacy in the world of luxury fashion. But how exactly does a so-called family business manage to not only survive, but thrive in the legendarily ultra-competitive luxury goods sector of the 21st century? Well, you might be surprised to learn that the secret isn't found in the classic old money playbook of changing the structure of generational trusts, the way the Rockefellers did, or placing your children at the top of each company under management, the way that Bernard Arnault has mostly done. You see, the key to the Hermès dynasty growing to unfathomable heights is in its unique business structure, which we'll investigate in the next chapter. In the bustling landscape of luxury fashion, the rise of Hermès stands out, defying the Goliaths of the industry with its unique blend of exclusivity and artisanal craftsmanship. And this French luxury brand, established in 1837 by Thierry Hermès, didn't ascend to prominence through the usual paths of mass production or ubiquitous marketing campaigns. Instead, it carved a niche through a steadfast commitment to a unique mix of exclusivity and high-quality craftsmanship. Specifically, while powerhouses like Gucci, Yves Saint Laurent, and Louis Vuitton flexed their muscles with aggressive strategies, Hermès pursued a different path. For instance, LVMH Group, known for Louis Vuitton among other mega fashion brands, spent around 9.5 billion euros on advertising and promotion costs worldwide in 2022, while Hermès has always played a different game. Its marketing expenses are a mere fraction of its revenue, about 4%. And this decision is not born out of frugality, but a strategic choice to maintain an aura of exclusivity. Undoubtedly, this understated approach has cultivated a mystique that continues to attract a dedicated clientele. And its products, unlike those of its competitors, are not available online and are rarely seen in stores. The brand operates on an invitation-only model, where high-spending, loyal customers are offered the chance to purchase their coveted products. To even be considered for the purchase of a Hermès bag, customers must first demonstrate their loyalty through consistent purchases of other Hermès items, such as scarves, perfumes, or jewelry. And this strategy of controlled scarcity has transformed Hermès products, especially the iconic Birkin and Kelly bags, into highly sought-after treasures that often appreciate in value, a rarity in fashion accessories. Furthermore, the production process of each Hermès bag is an icon of traditional craftsmanship and meticulous skill. Each bag is handcrafted by artisans in France, with the creation of a single Birkin bag taking up to 48 hours of labor. Additionally, Hermès artisans undergo a rigorous training regime, including a 4-year apprenticeship and an 18-month mentorship, before they're allowed to craft a bag. This emphasis on artisanal craftsmanship starkly contrasts with the industry's lean towards automation and mass production. And in the secondary market, where pre-owned luxury goods are traded, Hermès bags become even more valuable. Their rarity and exclusivity often lead to an appreciation in value, with returns outstripping traditional investments like the S&P 500 or gold. This remarkable phenomenon highlights Hermès' unique position in the luxury market, transcending the typical ebb and flow of fashion trends. Even more curiously, there was no evidence available during this moment a few decades ago that this family-owned brand would someday be able to go toe-to-toe against fashion's corporate leviathans, such as the $500 billion LVMH. In fact, Hermès seemed poised to be a relatively small boutique brand for its whole history until a few financial plot twists entered the picture, starting with the birth of its first patriarch, Thierry Hermès. The multi-billion-dollar Hermès saga begins with Thierry Hermès, born in 1801 in Krefeld, Germany, under Napoleon's vast empire. This geographical and political backdrop granted Thierry French citizenship, a twist of fate for a child born to a French father and a German mother, a blend of cultures that undoubtedly influenced the young Hermès, shaping his future endeavors. Now, Krefeld, often lauded as the city of velvet and silk, offered a rich cultural milieu for young Thierry. And Thierry was the youngest sibling in a family of 6, raised in the warm embrace of innkeepers. However, his childhood narrative was marred by loss, as disease and war claimed his family, tragically rendering him an orphan. Seeking new horizons, Thierry migrated to Paris in 1821, as always a city buzzing with innovation and opportunity. After several years, the family resettled in Pont-Audemer, where Thierry honed his leatherworking skills, a craft that would later become his hallmark. By 1837, the seeds of the Hermès brand were sown in the Grand Boulevard quarter of Paris, where Thierry established a harness workshop. And Hermès' workshop quickly earned a reputation for impeccable quality, specializing in harnesses and bridles for Europe's carriage trade. Thierry's artistry was not just in creating functional items, but in elevating them to objects of beauty, and his harnesses became a fixture in Paris's Expositions Universelles, speaking to his unmatched skill. Consequently, the evolution of Hermès under Thierry's watchful eye was remarkable. He shifted from harnesses to crafting exquisite saddles, capturing the hearts of the equestrian elite. For example, the Haute Courroie bag, designed for saddles and riding boots, marked the brand's foray into luxury accessories. And Thierry's personal life was equally rich, marked by his marriage to Christine Petronille Pierrat and the birth of his son, Charles-Émile. Upon Thierry's passing in 1878, the helm of Hermès passed to Charles-Émile, and later to his sons Adolphe and Émile Maurice. Thereafter, the family relocated the shop to 24 Rue du Faubourg Saint-Honoré, embedding the Hermès legacy in the heart of Paris, where it proudly stands today. However, the new storefront was just the beginning of the future multi-billion-dollar family enterprise. and patriarch Thierry could have never seen what would happen next, as his descendants took the reins. Or, should we say, grabbed the tote handles. In the dynamic heart of 19th century Paris, Charles-Émile Hermès emerged as a visionary leader in the luxury goods industry. See, in 1880, Charles-Émile, endowed with his father's entrepreneurial spirit, took the helm of the Hermès store, steering it through a transformative era in Paris, marked by the dramatic urban overhaul spearheaded by Baron Haussmann. And this period of upheaval, far from destabilizing the Hermès enterprise, presented an auspicious opportunity. With the demolition of its original store looming, a serendipitous eviction payment enabled Charles-Émile to relocate to a grander premise on the prestigious Rue du Faubourg Saint-Honoré, an address that Hermès proudly maintains to this day as its global headquarters. This strategic move in 1880 and the store's grand opening in 1889 positioned Hermès not merely as a purveyor of luxury goods, but as a symbol of Parisian shopping elegance. Therefore, Charles-Émile's foresight in diversifying Hermès's offerings proved pivotal. The brand, initially rooted in saddlery and harness making under Thierry's guidance, began embracing an array of products including riding equipment, horse blankets, and silk racing jackets. This expansion not only enriched the brand's portfolio, but also cemented its status as a luxury icon. And beyond the realm of equestrian gear, the brand delved into crafting exquisite leather goods, luggage, and handbags, responding adroitly to the evolving demands of European nobility. This diversification was instrumental in Hermès's metamorphosis from a specialized saddlery to a multifaceted luxury goods behemoth. Now, Charles-Émile Hermès's tenure concluded with his demise in 1916, paving the way for his sons Adolphe and Émile Maurice Hermès to take control. Then, the renaming of the company to Hermès Frères, or the Hermès Brothers, signaled a new chapter, and one where the brand adeptly navigated the shifting tides of society's preferences. And it was Émile Maurice, in particular, whose ingenious leadership propelled Hermès into uncharted territories. His securing of exclusive rights to use the zipper in France was not only a technological triumph, but also a cultural milestone, with the zipper affectionately dubbed Fermeture Hermès locally. Then, Émile Maurice's ingenuity shone brightest when, responding to his wife's difficulty in finding a suitable handbag, he personally designed Hermès's inaugural handbag collection in 1922. This personal touch underscored his commitment to quality and innovation, qualities that have become synonymous with the Hermès brand. Hermès's workforce had burgeoned to 80 skilled saddle craftsmen, a symbol of its unwavering dedication to craftsmanship and luxury. In fact, the brand's prestige soared to royal heights, furnishing none other than the Tsar of Russia with saddles. Then, the Roaring Twenties witnessed Émile Maurice further broadening Hermès's horizons, introducing accessories and clothing collections. He astutely prepared for the brand's longevity by integrating his sons-in-law, Robert Dumas, Jean-René Guérin, and Francis Puech, into the business, thereby ensuring that the Hermès legacy would continue to flourish under familial stewardship. After Émile Maurice's passing in 1951, his son-in-law, Robert Dumas, assumed leadership, marking a new era of innovation and success for Hermès. Dumas' tenure was distinguished by several landmark achievements, notably the introduction of the iconic Hermès silk scarf in 1937, which further solidified the brand's reputation in the world of luxury fashion. Indeed, this period was transformative for Hermès, transitioning from its roots as an equestrian accessory specialist to a purveyor of a wider range of luxury goods. Thus, the guidance of Adolphe and especially Émile Maurice during these times was critical. Their foresight and adaptability laid the groundwork for Hermès's ascension to the upper echelons of global high fashion and luxury, a status that the brand continues to enjoy and build upon in the modern era. However, in an unexpected turn of events for an old money dynasty like the Hermès Empire, it would really be the in-laws who would turn the family business into a global fashion hegemon in the coming decades, and lead to the succession crisis we discussed in the beginning of this video. On the 10th of November 1898, Robert Dumas Hermès, not born into the Hermès lineage by blood, but through the marriage of the daughter of Émile Maurice Hermès, was born. However, this matrimonial alliance was not just a union of hearts, but of names, as Robert Dumas adopted the Hermès surname, symbolizing a fusion of families and fortunes. And in these early years of the 20th century, the world was on the cusp of an industrial revolution. Automobiles were starting to replace horse-drawn carriages, signaling a paradigm shift, and this change was mirrored in the evolution of the Hermes Company, known initially for its exquisite harnesses and saddles, which began to expand into the realm of luxury goods. Robert Dumas Hermes, under the guidance of his father-in-law Émile Maurice Hermes, started to steer the company in this new direction. Parallel to Robert's story was that of Jean-René Guérand, Robert's brother-in-law, born in August 1907. Like Robert, Jean-René married into the Hermes family and joined the Hermes Company in 1926, and his tenure lasted a remarkable 64 years, during which he played a crucial role in establishing Hermes's global footprint, launching the company's worldwide export division. Together, Robert Dumas Hermes and Jean-René Guérand were at the helm during a pivotal era, and they navigated the brand through a world transformed by technological and cultural shifts, laying the groundwork for Hermes's transition into a purveyor of luxury. For example, in the 1950s, the company introduced its iconic Duke carriage with horse logo and the now famous orange paper boxes. However, it was in 1956 when a Life magazine feature catapulted the brand to new heights. The magazine captured Grace Kelly, the globally famous actress and newly minted Princess of Monaco, using a Hermes bag to discreetly cover her pregnancy. This bag, originally named Sac à Dépêche, was soon rechristened the Kelly bag after the princess, marking its ascent into the annals of fashion history. And in 1961, Hermes ventured into the fragrance industry, launching its subsidiary alongside the debut of the Caléchet scent. This name, a nod to a hooded four-wheeled horse carriage and a reflection of the company's logo, intertwined Hermes's heritage with its modern aspirations. Soon the family added Jean-Louis Robert Frédéric Dumas, born on the 2nd of February 1938 in Paris, as the son of Robert Dumas and a descendant of Émile Maurice Hermes, to the fold. Educated at the prestigious Institut d'études politiques de Paris and the Lycée Janson de Sailly, Jean-Louis' upbringing was not confined to the classrooms of France. His adventurous spirit led him on journeys across Iran, Afghanistan, Nepal, Scandinavia, and Czechoslovakia. Then, in New York, 1963, Jean-Louis Dumas, fresh from his military duties in Algeria, embarked on an adventure across the Atlantic. He landed a position in the buyer training program at Bloomingdale's, a name that resonates with the allure of high fashion and refined taste. And this period in New York was not just a mere stint. It was a crucible that forged Dumas' understanding of what it means to be a merchant, a vital insight that would later shape his approach to the luxury goods sector. But the year 1964 marked the true turning point in Dumas' professional life, as he joined the ranks of Hermès. Stepping into the company under the leadership of his father, Robert Dumas, Jean-Louis was poised to leave an indelible mark on the brand, assuming leadership of the company in 1978. However, before he could truly take the family name and business to new heights, he'd have to steer the brand through its most stagnant and difficult period in the business's history. In 1978, Jean-Louis Dumas, heir to the Hermès legacy, assumed leadership of the company, which, despite its illustrious past, was experiencing stagnation. But Dumas was poised for the challenge, and his tenure soon signaled a rejuvenation for Hermès. For example, Dumas injected a dose of modernity, introducing fresh talent, notably Éric Berger and Bernard Arnault, who reinvigorated the clothing division with new luxury lines. Thus, the 1980s and 90s under Dumas heralded unprecedented growth and creativity for Hermès. The iconic Birkin bag, born from an unexpected meeting between Dumas and actress Jane Birkin in 1984, became a symbol of luxury and a fashion staple. This period also saw Hermès diversify into ready-to-wear for men and home furnishings, widening its appeal and market reach. By 2006, this strategic expansion had borne fruit. Hermès's revenue climbed to $1.9 billion. Therefore, Dumas had not only revitalized the brand, but also redefined luxury on a global scale. His commitment to quality, craftsmanship, and innovation reshaped Hermès, balancing its rich history with contemporary demands. After 28 years, Dumas retired in January 2006. However, in the world of luxury fashion, few sagas rival the drama of LVMH's oncoming pursuit of Hermes, a storyline replete with corporate strategy and family legacy. You see, the stage was initially set in 2001, prior to Jean-Louis's death, when LVMH, led by the Machiavellian Bernard Arnault, discreetly acquired a 4.9% stake in Hermes. This move, subtle yet strategic, marked the commencement of a high-stakes game in the luxury sector. Fast forward to 2010, and Patrick Thomas, the first non-family CEO, had to grapple with LVMH having stealthily grown that almost 5% stake into 15%. Indeed, this accumulation was not just about numbers, it was about influence and potential control. In response, Hermes, understanding the gravity of the situation, fortified its defenses in December 2010. A private holding company, owning 50.2% of Hermes shares, emerged as a bastion against LVMH's advances, and amid this corporate tussle, legal battles ensued. Hermes, in a bold move, filed a criminal complaint against LVMH, accusing it of insider trading and manipulation. Certainly this wasn't just a legal maneuver. It was a statement of the family's resistance against a perceived financial invasion of the Hermes dynasty's legacy. 2014 saw the denouement of this high-fashion drama, with LVMH, in a surprising yet strategic retreat, agreed to distribute its by then 23.2% stake in Hermes to its shareholders, finally gracing the brand with an acknowledgement of the resilience of a family-controlled luxury empire. Enter Axel Dumas, born into the Hermes Dumas lineage, a custodian of a rich heritage. Joining Hermes in 2003, Dumas navigated through various roles, from auditor to retail director, before ascending to the throne of CEO in 2014. And his ascent wasn't just a career progression, it was a continuation of a familial saga. Under Dumas's stewardship, Hermes thrived, with sales skyrocketing and share price soaring, a testament to his commitment to heritage and independence. Therefore, Dumas's leadership was more than a managerial success. It was a celebration of the unique identity of Hermes. And thus we begin where we started, with one of the more than 100 heirs to the Hermes dynasty, perhaps sending off billions to his gardener, of all people. However, no matter what Nicolas Puech decides to do, after hearing this wild family chronicle, it's clear that the Hermes will survive and continue on undeterred.
Gianni, why did you write your book? Could you just tell me? Why did you...
I don't write. It's just a picture book. I have fun doing it.
Why do you call it Men Without Ties?
Why I like freedom. I like indulgence, individuality. Things don't constrict you to wear.
And you're pleased to do it for the Hermes Foundation?
Absolutely. All the proceeds of the book are going to benefit.
Gianni?
In the pantheon of fashion royalty, few names command the reverence and instant recognition of Versace. You see, the brand defines maximalist luxury itself. Bold Baroque patterns, blinding golds, and that hypnotic Medusa emblem that transformed Italian craftsmanship into global desire. And for decades, Versace has dressed everyone from rock stars to actual royalty, creating cultural moments that transcend mere clothing to become zeitgeist-defining statements. Yet, behind this multi-billion-dollar empire stands a family whose meteoric rise, devastating fall, and phoenix-like resurrection rivals anything in Greek mythology, including the tale emblazoned on their emblem herself. In today's episode of Old Money Luxury, we'll take you through a muse's miracle, how, from the blood-stained steps of a Miami mansion, this indomitable family managed to resurrect not just a fashion house, but a global legend, proving that some legacies are simply too powerful for even tragedy to erase, as we describe. The Versace family: couture, crime, and cash.
What are you most excited about in life right now?
Well, the next Met Gala.
As of 2025, the Versace family sits atop fashion's Mount Olympus, with a staggering combined fortune of $1.9 billion. This isn't just wealth. It's dynasty-building financial power that transforms passing whims into industry-defining movements. The distribution of this colossal sum tells a story more captivating than any runway show could hope to deliver. Donatella Versace, the platinum-haired creative force who has steered the brand through nearly 3 decades of fashion's choppy waters, commands a personal fortune of $400 million. Her elder brother Santo, the business mastermind who kept the company's ledgers in the black, while creative geniuses dreamed in color, boasts a net worth of approximately $600 million. Yet it's young Allegra Versace, Donatella's daughter and Gianni's niece, who holds the family's largest share, a jaw-dropping $900 million that landed in her lap due to a tragedy that shocked the world. The Versace financial empire stands shoulder to shoulder with fashion's most elite dynasties. Their wealth extends far beyond the catwalk, with the eponymous fashion house founded in 1978 serving as merely the cornerstone of their commercial kingdom. The Versace aesthetic, bold, provocative, and unapologetically luxurious, transformed from clothing into a lifestyle empire encompassing everything from porcelain to palatial homes. When Michael Kors, now Capri Holdings, acquired the fashion house in 2018 for a cool $2.12 billion, the family's liquid assets exploded while they cleverly maintained creative influence within the brand they built. Versace Home, launched in 1992, evolved into a comprehensive collection that brought the family's distinctive vision into the living spaces of the global elite. Their venture into luxury real estate produced 8 exclusive villas in Marbella, Spain, each commanding a price tag of approximately 10 million euros. Donatella's personal property portfolio reads like a global treasure map, from the breathtaking 50-room Villa Mondadori overlooking Lake Maggiore to the historic Villa La Fontanelle on Lake Como, valued at 52 million euros. Her automotive collection includes a custom-ordered Rolls-Royce Phantom with paint that took craftsmen 3 months to perfect, a rare Lamborghini Aventador SVJ Roadster, and a Bentley Continental GT in azure blue that matches the Miami skyline. The skies and seas haven't escaped the Versace touch either. Donatella's customized Gulfstream G650, valued at 65 million euros, features cabin bulkheads silk-screened with Versace prints, because heaven forbid she should fly in an aircraft without the family logo. The family's 150-foot custom yacht, El Medusa, worth 42 million euros, represents the pinnacle of their lifestyle, a floating palace with an infinity pool that seems to merge with the Mediterranean itself. This empire of extraordinary wealth stands as one of fashion's greatest success stories. The billions they've amassed have funded not just opulent lifestyles, but also cemented a legacy that continues to influence global fashion, design, and culture. But behind the awe-inspiring appearance, limitless luxury, lies a sobering truth that forever altered the trajectory of the Versace fortune. For all their palatial homes and custom vehicles, their billions exist in their current form partially because of a single, horrific moment that unfolded on the steps of a Miami mansion one fateful July morning in 1997. But in order to properly tell that tale, we'll have to start at the beginning.
Fashion was a family business for Versace because he was immersed into it from his childhood.
In the ancient coastal city of Reggio Calabria, at the very toe of Italy's boot, Gianni Versace drew his first breath on December 2, 1946. The Versace surname itself carries competing origin stories, perhaps from the Greek Bersakis, a nod to the region's Magna Graecia heritage, or possibly from a street in nearby San Procopio where ancestors once dwelled. This southern Italian birthplace, with its persistent whispers of Greek antiquity, would later infuse the designer's aesthetic with classical motifs that became his signature. His father, Antonio, was a humble coal merchant, a man of practical concerns and earthbound commerce who could never have imagined his son's future ascent into the stratosphere of international glamour. His mother, Francesca, however, possessed the golden thread that would weave destiny, a talented seamstress who transformed limited resources into an atelier that employed a dozen women and clothed the local elite. Young Gianni did not play with toys like other children. Instead, he played with fabric scraps, pins and the symphony of clicking scissors that filled his mother's workshop. By the tender age of 10, he had designed his first dress, his small hands mimicking the measured movements he had observed countless times at his mother's side. School proved a battlefield where Gianni suffered humiliating defeats, his grades so abysmal that teachers threatened expulsion during one particularly grim parent-teacher conference. What these educators failed to recognize was that their supposedly failing student possessed a visual intelligence that transcended their narrow metrics of academic success. While mathematics eluded him, the mathematics of the human form, proportion, symmetry, contrast, spoke to him in a language as clear as his native Italian. One pivotal moment crystallized his innate commercial instinct. Tasked by his mother to purchase inventory for her boutique, he returned with pieces so scandalously revealing she was certain they would languish, unsold and unwanted. To her astonishment, these daring designs vanished from racks faster than conventional clothing, a market response that confirmed what Francesca Versace began to suspect. Her son possessed not just creativity, but visionary insight. By his early 20s, Gianni could feel Reggio Calabria constricting around him like an ill-fitted suit, the provincial city insufficient to contain his expanding ambitions. Milan beckoned, Italy's northern fashion capital where dreams were cut, sewn, and paraded down runways to international acclaim. There, he began as a freelance designer, his talent quickening the pulse of prestigious fashion houses like Jenny, who recognized in this southern Italian something raw and revelatory. By 25, his bold, innovative approach had become his calling card, earning him coveted assignments for labels like Callahan and Complice. Yet for all his success designing under others' banners, Gianni increasingly chafed at creative constraints that weren't of his own making. The late 1970s arrived with Gianni at a crossroads, his reputation established, but his true vision still unrealized. He had built a name, but yearned to build an empire. In this pivotal moment, he turned not to fashion industry insiders, but to blood. His elder brother Santo, with his head for business, and younger sister Donatella, whose fierce creative judgment mirrored his own. Together, this triumvirate of siblings launched Gianni's first ready-to-wear collection, a sartorial declaration of independence that Milan received with shocked admiration. Unlike anything that had come before, his designs spoke a new language of confidence, sensuality, and fearless self-expression. The industry christened him the Milanese master of fashion, but such a claim merely served as prologue to a story that would redefine luxury itself, as Gianni Versace transformed his surname into something that transcended mere identity. It became desire itself. The iconic Medusa head that adorns every Versace creation wasn't merely decorative. It was autobiographical, a symbol Gianni chose because the mythological figure made people fall in love with her, unable to look away. By the late 1980s, his works revealed a deep obsession with Greco-Roman aesthetics, reimagined through a lens of contemporary boldness that felt simultaneously ancient and revolutionary. While designers like Armani crafted understated elegance, Gianni blazed a trail of audacious maximalism, Baroque patterns, blinding colors, and cuts that celebrated rather than concealed the human form. Fashion critics coined the now legendary distinction: Armani dresses the wife, Versace dresses the mistress, a backhanded compliment that Gianni embraced with characteristic defiance. By the early 1990s, the House of Versace had transformed from ambitious upstart to global phenomenon, with 130 boutiques spanning continents and revenues exceeding $800 million. Michael Jackson commissioned custom stage costumes, Elton John filled entire rooms with Versace pieces, and Princess Diana abandoned royal conservatism for Gianni's form-fitting dresses that forever changed her public image. His runway shows transcended mere commerce to become cultural events, with front rows so exclusive that Hollywood A-listers found themselves relegated to second-row seats, a public demotion that destroyed social standing overnight.
Versace's relationship with Antonio D'Amico was the longest lasting of his life. D'Amico was involved in the fashion industry. He was a model originally, and then he became involved in the Versace house in various forms. But really the most important thing for Versace was that he had a partner, was that he had someone that was secure and somebody that he could indulge.
His masterstroke came when he elevated a cadre of models, Naomi Campbell, Cindy Crawford, Claudia Schiffer, and Christy Turlington. From anonymous mannequins to supermodels, a term he helped popularize and a concept that forever altered the fashion industry's power dynamics. These women commanded $25,000 for 30 seconds of runway walking, unprecedented fees that reflected Gianni's understanding that personality sold clothing more effectively than anonymity ever could. Amid the empire building and celebrity crafting, Gianni found something increasingly rare in his stratospheric social circle: authentic love with Antonio D'Amico, a model whose striking looks matched the designer's own Mediterranean features. Their relationship flourished despite the era's pervasive homophobia, with Gianni refusing to hide his sexuality even as it complicated business relationships in more conservative markets. The bond between the designer and his model-turned-partner faced its greatest challenge not from external prejudice, but internal family dynamics, particularly with sister Donatella, whose fierce protectiveness of her brother sometimes manifested as jealousy toward Antonio.
That goes into the gallons into his legendary mansion, a palace in Miami. It's a massive, opulent estate, and it's been turned into one of the...
By 1991, exhausted from managing both global expansion and family tensions, Gianni sought sanctuary in Miami's South Beach, purchasing a Mediterranean revival mansion for $3 million, a relative bargain that he would transform into a $33 million palace. This Casa Casuarina became the physical embodiment of Versace excess. 50 rooms of mosaic-tiled opulence where the designer hosted Madonna, Princess Diana, and Elton John for weekends of sun-soaked indulgence. The Miami mansion's 10,000-square-foot extension required the demolition of the Art Deco Revere Hotel next door, a controversial move that earned both criticism from preservationists and reluctant admiration for the resulting architectural spectacle. Inside these gilded walls, Gianni entertained with legendary parties where Hollywood royalty mingled with fashion icons under the watchful gaze of his beloved Medusa emblems, embedded in every conceivable surface. By the mid-90s, his achievements seemed limitless. He had revolutionized fashion marketing, redefined sensuality in clothing, and built a business generating nearly $1 billion annually. His theatrical genius expanded beyond runways to actual theaters, with Gianni designing costumes for ballet and opera productions at La Scala and becoming the first fashion designer invited to show his creations at the Louvre. The Versace aesthetic had so thoroughly penetrated global consciousness that even those who couldn't afford his clothing recognized his distinctive visual language, a commercial triumph few designers achieve in their lifetime. On sweltering summer mornings, despite his extraordinary wealth, Gianni maintained the humble ritual of walking to a nearby cafe to collect his own newspapers, a vulnerable routine observed by many, including a troubled young man named Andrew Cunanan.
Andrew at Bishop's, I remember hearing his laugh, and we immediately hit it off. He was really kind of a card.
He was determined that his classmates who came from rich families wouldn't know how...
Andrew Cunanan was born with a silver tongue rather than a silver spoon, a masterful fabricator who could conjure wealth and status from thin air. Raised in California and educated at an exclusive private school, he learned early that the appearance of success mattered more than success itself. By 19, he had abandoned college and embraced life as an openly gay man, a decision his religious mother never accepted and which culminated in a violent confrontation where he slammed her against a wall, injuring her shoulder. His father's simultaneous flight to the Philippines to escape financial fraud charges completed the collapse of Cunanan's family structure, pushing him towards San Francisco's Castro district, where he sought both community and opportunity. There, he perfected a particular talent, cultivating relationships with wealthy older men who bankrolled his increasingly extravagant lifestyle. One particularly generous benefactor provided $2,000 monthly, a luxury vehicle, and lavish international vacations, temporarily transforming Andrew from pretender into the person he had always claimed to be. When these relationships dissolved and his artificial world crumbled, something inside Andrew Cunanan fractured permanently.
Jeffrey trails body up in a rug and pushes it unceremoniously behind a sofa, as if no one would find it.
Some spree killers who are killing in a state of frenzy aren't interested in.
A killing spree began in Minneapolis with ex-lover David Madsen and former friend Jeffrey Trail, the latter bludgeoned with a hammer in a rage so overwhelming that investigators later described the scene as overkill. Cunanan then executed Madsen with a bullet to the back of the head and fled to Chicago, where he tortured and murdered 72-year-old real estate developer Lee Miglin in his own home. As a nationwide manhunt intensified, he traveled to New Jersey and killed cemetery caretaker William Reese solely to steal his pickup truck, his fourth murder in less than 2 weeks. With 4 bodies behind him and his face plastered across every American newspaper, Cunanan disappeared into Miami's vibrant South Beach scene, somehow evading capture despite being on the FBI's 10 most wanted list. Meanwhile, on the morning of July 15, 1997, Gianni Versace followed his usual ritual, a short walk from his Ocean Drive mansion to purchase newspapers at a nearby cafe. Versace had recently received devastating health news, a diagnosis of inner ear cancer alongside his private battle with HIV. But on this brilliant summer morning, death would come from an entirely unexpected direction. As the designer climbed the steps to his palatial home, 2 gunshots shattered the morning calm. Versace collapsed, his blood pooling on the coral-colored steps of the mansion he had transformed into a monument to his aesthetic vision. The assailant, immediately identified by witnesses as Andrew Cunanan, melted into the bustling tourist district as sirens wailed toward Casa Casuarina. Antonio D'Amico, hearing the shots from inside, rushed out to find his partner of 15 years sprawled on the steps, a sight so traumatic he would later say, "I saw Gianni lying on the steps, with blood around him." At that point, everything went dark. Emergency responders transported the gravely wounded designer to Jackson Memorial Hospital, but the damage was catastrophic. Versace was pronounced dead at 9:34 that morning. News of the murder detonated across global media with unprecedented force. Fashion's most flamboyant visionary cut down in broad daylight outside his own home. As the Versace family reeled from unimaginable grief, all eyes turned to a shell-shocked Donatella, who now faced the impossible task of preserving her brother's billion-dollar legacy while barely able to comprehend that he was gone.
Extraordinary talent of Gianni, and could you ever see bringing in somebody else to work with you?
Well, to be compared to Gianni was not only tough, it destroyed me, because Gianni was the king, Gianni was Gianni.
Thrust into fashion's most unforgiving spotlight, with hands still trembling from grief, Donatella Versace inherited not just a billion-dollar empire, but the impossible expectation to become her murdered brother overnight. The industry's vultures circled immediately, whispering that the platinum-haired party girl who had always operated in Gianni's shadow would surely crash the family business into oblivion within months. Critics sharpened their knives for her first collection, and their initial reviews cut deep, too derivative of Gianni, yet simultaneously not Versace enough. Behind closed doors, Donatella crumbled beneath the weight of expectations, spiraling into an 18-year cocaine addiction that nearly destroyed everything her family had built. The pressures of leadership while grieving pushed her toward chemical comfort, with only a dramatic intervention from close friend Elton John finally sending her to an Arizona rehabilitation facility in 2005. Her personal life unraveled in tandem. Her marriage to Paul Beck collapsed in 2000 amid rumors that Gianni had orchestrated their union solely to ensure heirs for the Versace dynasty. Her daughter Allegra, who at just 11 years old inherited 50% of the company through Gianni's controversial will, developed severe anorexia, adding maternal anguish to Donatella's already overwhelming burden. Yet somehow, from this crucible of seemingly insurmountable challenges, a fashion phoenix emerged. Donatella gradually infused Versace with her own provocative vision, maintaining the brand's signature sex appeal while subtly shifting its DNA from Gianni's classical influences toward a more contemporary boldness. Her masterstroke came through cultivating celebrity relationships, most notably with Jennifer Lopez, whose jungle print Versace dress at the 2000 Grammy Awards literally broke the internet before such terminology existed. The dress proved so searched for online that it directly inspired the creation of Google Images, a single fashion moment that permanently altered the digital landscape. While navigating the treacherous waters of high fashion, Donatella simultaneously steered the company through financial restructuring in the early 2000s, expanding into new markets and reviving the haute couture line through Atelier Versace. Her business acumen proved as sharp as her design instincts. By 2011, she had restored profitability to a brand many had written off after Gianni's murder. When luxury conglomerate Capri Holdings acquired Versace in 2018 for $2.12 billion, Donatella negotiated terms that ensured she retained creative control while securing the financial future of the family legacy. This past March, at 69 years old and after 27 years at the creative helm, Donatella announced her transition to Chief Brand Ambassador, passing the design torch while ensuring her influence remains embedded in the company's DNA. Her nearly three-decade odyssey transformed her from fashion's most famous grieving sister into an icon in her own right, a woman who refused to be defined by tragedy despite it forever altering the trajectory of her life. The House of Versace today stands as a symbol, not just Gianni's pioneering vision, but also of Donatella's extraordinary resilience, a business that generates nearly $1 billion annually while continuing to define luxury for new generations. When anyone mentions Chanel, our minds fill with instant associations. The revolutionary perfume that broke all rules, the double C logo that stands as, arguably, fashion's most recognized symbol, and a brand that commands attention across crowded department stores and red carpets alike. Furthermore, most people into fashion know something about Coco herself, the French orphan who conquered Paris, the shrewd businesswoman who understood women wanted both luxury and comfort, the controversial figure whose designs outlived her complicated legacy. Yet almost no one recognizes the names Alain and Gérard Wertheimer, the brothers who actually own this entire empire, men so deliberately anonymous they could sit beside you at a restaurant without triggering the slightest hint of recognition. Indeed, they remain invisible by design, this billionaire family dynasty that avoids photographers, declines interviews, and disappears into crowd scenes at their own runway shows. Thus, in today's episode of Old Money Luxury, we examine fashion's most enigmatic multi-billionaire dollar dynasty, how the Wertheimer family transformed a single fragrance partnership into a global empire while maintaining disciplined privacy that defies every modern expectation of wealth and influence. You'll never spot them in Fashion Week front rows, on magazine covers, or hosting galas. Yet Alain and Gérard Wertheimer control your luxury aspirations with the precision of puppet masters. These secretive siblings command an $80 billion fashion empire from the shadows, making them richer than entire countries, while remaining so anonymous they could browse their own Chanel boutiques without being recognized. Their combined fortune of $94 billion makes Jeff Bezos look like he should be clipping coupons. Yet they've perfected the art of billionaire invisibility in an age where wealth typically comes with its own reality show. The brothers divide their fashion kingdom like efficient corporate monarchs. Alain oversees fashion operations from New York, while Gérard manages watches and jewelry from Geneva, treating billion-dollar decisions with the casual confidence of men selecting breakfast pastries. Chanel pulls in $19 billion annually, by convincing the world that $1,000 handbags and $100 lipsticks are absolute necessities rather than extravagant luxuries. While competitors like LVMH and Kering dance for shareholders, the Wertheimers keep Chanel privately owned, granting them the ultimate luxury in business, never having to explain themselves to anyone. Their thoroughbred racing stable, Wertheimer et Frères, produces champion horses that thunder across finish lines with the same elegant dominance as Chanel dominates fashion weeks. Winning isn't accidental when you control every detail. The brothers own vineyards that would make Ernophiles weep, Château Rozan-Segla and Château Canon in Bordeaux, plus Saint-Supéry estate in Napa Valley, ensuring their wine cellars remain as exclusive as their balance sheets. Their art collection reportedly contains pieces by Picasso, Matisse, and Rousseau. Yet in signature Wertheimer style, these masterpieces remain completely private, never loaned, never photographed, existing as whispered rumors rather than Instagram backdrops. Despite having enough money to buy small planets, the brothers shun the super yacht and private island circus that occupies lesser billionaires, preferring understated luxury that whispers rather than shouts. Moose Partners, their family office established in 1979, silently manages up to $100 billion, investing in everything from biotech startups to luxury watch manufacturers with the quiet efficiency of a library cataloging system. When they occasionally materialize at Chanel runway shows, the brothers deliberately choose seats in the third or fourth row, the ultra-rich equivalent of driving a Honda when you own the Ferrari dealership. Karl Lagerfeld called them the invisible owners, proving that fashion's most quotable designer couldn't resist commenting on the industry's most comment-resistant power players. The world's obsession with these publicity-allergic brothers grows precisely because they refuse to feed it, creating a vacuum of information about the family who transformed a single perfume into a global empire that sells everything from tweed jackets to tennis shoes. In the modern attention economy, where most billionaires compete for headlines, the Wertheimers hoard privacy like others hoard wealth, making their strategy of invisibility paradoxically fascinating. Their business empire sprung from a partnership laden with conflict and betrayal, a decades-long battle with Gabrielle Coco Chanel herself, who spent years trying to reclaim control from the very family who helped build her brand's global footprint. Every luxury empire has humble beginnings somewhere, but the Wertheimer dynasty's foundation story reveals that fortune favors not just the bold, but the perceptive. Long before they became Chanel's silent puppet masters, they were already rewriting the rules of beauty's business. Before Chanel's double C logo adorned handbags worldwide, the Wertheimer name graced powder compacts and lipstick tubes. Through their ownership of Bourjois Cosmetics, a successful makeup empire that gave them both the capital and industry expertise to recognize Coco Chanel's potential when others saw merely another fleeting fragrance. Pierre Wertheimer, the patriarch who would eventually gamble on Coco Chanel's perfume vision, emerged from French Jewish society with a sophisticated business sense and the quiet confidence that would become the family trademark. His cosmetics experience provided both the capital and industry connections that would position him perfectly to recognize opportunity when introduced to an ambitious designer named Gabrielle Chanel in the early 1920s. Théophile Bader, the founder of Galeries Lafayette department store, played matchmaker between Pierre's business prowess and Chanel's creative genius, a fateful introduction that would alter luxury history and create generational wealth. The family's Jewish heritage later proved dangerously significant during World War II, when Nazi occupation forced them to employ extraordinary measures to protect their growing fragrance empire from confiscation. Even before the Chanel partnership, Pierre had established himself in Parisian business circles while maintaining the disciplined privacy that would later become a family hallmark across generations. Beyond business, Pierre cultivated a passion for thoroughbred racing that reflected both his personal interests and gradual integration into upper-class French society, where equestrian pursuits signaled both wealth and taste. His racing stable competed successfully throughout Europe, establishing the Wertheimer name in aristocratic circles decades before it would become associated with fashion's most iconic logo. The Bourjois Cosmetics business provided both financial foundation and beauty industry insights that would prove invaluable when evaluating Chanel's revolutionary approach to fragrance. While other businessmen might have dismissed a female designer's perfume ambitions, Pierre recognized that Chanel No. 5 represented more than just another fragrance. It embodied a modern approach to luxury that could transcend fashion's seasonal nature. Pierre's willingness to invest in Chanel's vision demonstrated remarkable foresight in recognizing how fragrance could democratize luxury, allowing consumers who couldn't afford haute couture to own a piece of prestige through perfume. This early period established core Wertheimer business principles that continue today: private ownership, patient capital deployment, and allowing creative talent appropriate freedom while maintaining ultimate financial control. Long before brand value entered business vocabulary, Pierre understood that Chanel's greatest asset wasn't inventory or formulas, but her name and the lifestyle it represented. An insight that would prove prophetic as brand licensing later transformed luxury. His approach to partnerships revealed sophisticated strategy, identifying talent that needed financial backing while structuring deals to ensure family control, a template that would guide Wertheimer investments across generations. As Pierre prepared to formally partner with Coco Chanel in 1924, neither party could have anticipated how their arrangement would spawn both tremendous wealth and bitter conflict, with repercussions extending far beyond their lifetimes. The handshake that united Pierre Wertheimer with Coco Chanel would produce not just iconic fragrances, but a century of legal battles, wartime intrigue, and eventually one of history's great luxury empires, a partnership born in ambition that would fracture into betrayal, revenge, and ultimately resurrection, all while the world remained intoxicated by a scent whose formula proved far less complex than the empire it built. In 1924, Chanel No. 5 transformed from boutique curiosity to global phenomenon through a deceptively simple business deal orchestrated by Théophile Bader, founder of Galeries Lafayette department store. Pierre Wertheimer acquired 70% ownership of the newly created parfum Chanel, while Bader retained 20% for his matchmaking services, leaving Coco Chanel with a mere 10% stake in her namesake fragrance business. This arrangement positioned Pierre perfectly, controlling production, marketing, and distribution, while Chanel maintained her couture business separately, allowing her creative genius to flourish, while Wertheimer quietly built the commercial engine. Pierre immediately applied his bourgeois cosmetics experience to Chanel No. 5, revolutionizing fragrance marketing by positioning it as accessible luxury, too expensive to be common, but within reach of the aspiring middle class. Under Wertheimer's direction, Parfum Chanel expanded distribution networks across Europe, entering the American market despite the Great Depression and establishing the fragrance as a global status symbol. Within years, Chanel No. 5's unprecedented success validated Pierre's investment. The perfume transcended its origins to become a cultural icon mentioned in films, literature, and infamously by Marilyn Monroe, who claimed to wear only a few drops to bed. The growing business required manufacturing capabilities beyond the original laboratory, with Pierre establishing dedicated production facilities and quality control measures that maintained consistency while scaling for international demand. Wertheimer's business model created the template for modern luxury fragrance, investing heavily in marketing to establish prestige, controlling distribution to maintain exclusivity, and pricing to balance accessibility with aspiration. This commercial success made the Chanel-Wertheimer partnership increasingly lucrative but increasingly tense, as Coco watched her creation generate fortunes while her minority stake limited her financial participation despite her name on every bottle. When Nazi Germany occupied France in 1940, Wertheimer demonstrated remarkable business foresight by transferring legal ownership of Parfum Chanel to Christian businessman Félix Amiot, creating a protective shield that would save the company from both Nazi confiscation and Chanel's opportunistic attempts to reclaim control. After liberation, Pierre retook ownership from Amiot as arranged, quickly rebuilding European distribution networks while expanding American operations to capitalize on Chanel No. 5's popularity with American soldiers who bought bottles as gifts for wives and girlfriends. Beyond fragrance, Pierre recognized broader potential in the Chanel name and aesthetic, gradually expanding product offerings to include bath powder, lotions, and eventually additional perfumes that extended the brand while maintaining its exclusive positioning. The pinnacle of Pierre's business strategy came in 1954 when he acquired Chanel's couture house, unifying fashion and fragrance operations under Wertheimer family control, creating the integrated luxury brand model that competitors would later emulate. This acquisition represented both business brilliance and personal triumph, bringing the entire Chanel ecosystem under Wertheimer ownership after decades of tension with the founder whose name adorned every product but who no longer controlled their creation. Under Pierre's unified leadership, Chanel evolved from fragrance company with fashion connections to integrated luxury brand spanning multiple categories, establishing the foundation that would later support expansion into cosmetics, accessories, watches, and fine jewelry. The Wertheimer approach to Chanel's business, private ownership, patient capital, creative excellence balanced with commercial discipline, created the blueprint that would guide the company through coming decades of fashion industry consolidation and volatility. Yet this masterful business strategy was about to collide with its greatest challenge, the uncontainable force of Coco herself. While Pierre Wertheimer built his fragrance empire with strategic brilliance, his counterpart, Gabrielle Coco Chanel, embodied the mercurial creative genius whose personality shaped both her designs and business conflicts. Chanel's humble origins as an orphan born in a poor house contrasted sharply with her aristocratic aspirations, creating a woman determined to reinvent both herself and fashion while deeply resenting those with inherited privilege or wealth. Her wartime choices revealed character complexity beyond fashion innovation, remaining in occupied Paris at the Hotel Ritz, which doubled as German officer headquarters, while maintaining a relationship with Nazi intelligence officer Hans Günther von Dinklage. This controversial period included her attempt to exploit anti-Jewish laws to seize control of Parfums Chanel, arguing to Nazi authorities that the company had been abandoned by its Jewish owners. A maneuver that failed due to Pierre's legal foresight but permanently tarnished her personal legacy. Ironically, despite Pierre's Jewish heritage being targeted by Nazi persecution, his business arrangements proved more resilient than Coco's opportunistic power grab, demonstrating that legal structures sometimes outlast personal vindictiveness. The post-war financial settlement between the Wertheimers and Chanel, $9 million plus ongoing royalties, bought business peace without personal reconciliation, creating an arrangement where Coco continued designing for a company she no longer controlled. This uneasy alliance proved commercially successful despite personal tensions. Chanel's creative vision paired with Wertheimer's business discipline created a powerful luxury formula that competitors struggled to replicate. When Pierre Wertheimer died, leadership passed smoothly to his son Jacques, establishing the family's multi-generational approach to business succession while maintaining the privacy and disciplined management that characterized Wertheimer operations. Jacques inherited both a thriving company and evolving challenges. The 1960s and 70s brought youth revolution, fashion democratization, and designer brand proliferation that threatened Chanel's exclusivity and relevance. Under Jacques' stewardship, Chanel appointed Jacques Helot as artistic director, a visionary who revolutionized luxury advertising by recruiting film directors and celebrities for campaigns that reinvented how premium brands communicated. Helot's casting of Catherine Deneuve as Chanel's fragrance ambassador established the celebrity luxury partnership model that continues today, marrying artistic credibility with commercial appeal in campaigns that sold lifestyle beyond mere products. When Coco Chanel died in 1971 at age 87, the Wertheimer family gained complete psychological ownership of the brand, no longer sharing control even symbolically with its founder and namesake. Jacques continued his father's tradition of empowering creative talent while maintaining backstage control, understanding that luxury customers buy into artistic vision while business structure enables consistent quality and distribution. Family succession planning started early, with Jacques preparing his sons Alain and Gérard for leadership, much as Pierre had prepared him, combining education, external experience, and gradual integration into the family business. When Jacques died in 1974, 25-year-old Alain assumed control of a company facing existential challenges: fashion democratization, conglomerate competition, and a brand identity tied to an aging customer demographic. The third-generation transfer represented Chanel's most perilous moment since World War II. Could these young Wertheimer brothers revitalize a historic brand increasingly viewed as their grandmother's perfume rather than contemporary luxury? As it turns out, Alain and Gerard would not just preserve the family empire, but dramatically expand it, transforming a struggling heritage brand into a global powerhouse through strategic brilliance that would have made their grandfather proud. Alain and Gerard Wertheimer's first decade at Chanel's helm proved their grandfather's business genes had transferred intact to both brothers. They divided responsibilities, with Alain managing fashion operations while Gerard oversaw fragrance and watches. Working as a complementary team, they streamlined fragrance distribution, eliminated licensing deals that cheapened the brand, and systematically rebuilt Chanel's exclusive image that had dulled during the 70s. Their greatest maneuver came in 1983 when the brothers hired designer Karl Lagerfeld, a decision that transformed Chanel from fading relic into fashion's most powerful luxury brand within a decade. Lagerfeld reinvented Chanel's iconic codes, tweed jackets, quilted bags, two-tone shoes, for the modern era while maintaining their essential DNA, proving heritage brands could be simultaneously classic and contemporary. The Wertheimer brothers expanded their portfolio beyond fashion and fragrance into high-end watches, fine jewelry, and comprehensive beauty lines, creating a complete luxury universe while remaining stubbornly private when competitors rushed to public markets. Their shared refusal to license the brand for lower-priced products confused competitors, but delighted luxury consumers. Chanel handbags maintained value like Manhattan real estate, while rivals' offerings depreciated faster than economy cars leaving dealerships. Now in their 70s, Alain and Gerard face luxury's inevitable question, succession. Though in characteristic Wertheimer style, they treat their handoff plans like state secrets, known only to family, and never shared with the fashion journalists who desperately crave such intel. Nathaniel Wertheimer, Alain's Harvard-educated son and presumed heir apparent, joined the family business after cutting his teeth at Estée Lauder, bringing outsider experience to insider privilege in the time-honored Wertheimer tradition. Beyond Nathaniel lurk other contenders, including cousin Arthur Heilbronn, who works at family office Moose Partners, and various Wertheimer offspring with suitably prestigious educations and appropriately low Instagram profiles. The fourth generation faces luxury challenges their grandfather never imagined: sustainability demands, digital disruption, and consumers who expect brands to stand for something beyond making shareholders wealthy. The brothers' approach to technology reveals the Wertheimer paradox: conservative in digital marketing, yet forward-thinking in production innovation, maintaining heritage craftsmanship while investing in manufacturing advances that competitors can't match. This technological balance extends to retail strategy, where Chanel famously resisted e-commerce longer than rivals, finally embracing online sales without sacrificing the white-glove boutique experience that justifies $1,000 price tags. Sustainability presents another modern challenge, with Gerard personally championing environmentally conscious initiatives, recognizing that luxury's future customers demand ethical production alongside exquisite design. David Wertheimer, Gerard's entrepreneurial son, demonstrates family business evolution through his 1686 Partners, a private equity firm focusing on sustainable investments in fashion and lifestyle sectors. The firm's $110 million portfolio includes ventures spanning luxury watches to performance ski apparel, carving new territory while maintaining connections to the premium categories that built the family fortune. Through quiet philanthropy and discreet cultural patronage, the Wertheimer brothers influence without seeking influence, donate without press releases, and shape society without society pages, proving that in a world where attention is the cheapest currency, discretion might be the ultimate luxury. In Paris, they say true luxury cannot be rushed, and for 6 generations, one family has guarded this truth. Each stitch and each fold is passed down through time in the house of Hermès, where a single bag takes 40 hours to craft, and where there could be a single moment to lose it all. You see, in 2010, a whisper echoed through the halls of haute couture, and Bernard Arnault, the wolf in cashmere, had been circling. The man who devoured Dior, who conquered Louis Vuitton, had set his sights on the last great independent fashion house in France. But he was about to learn: the family that builds together, fights together. In today's episode, we share the story of old money versus new, of tradition versus takeover, of a family that refused to sell their soul, even when it was worth $200 billion as we describe. The old money luxury war for fashion. Hermes versus Louis Vuitton. The city is Paris, France, and the year is 1837, and the age of empires was ending, but a new one was just beginning. In a modest workshop on Rue Basse du Rempart, Thierry Hermes placed his tools on a wooden bench for the first time. He had one client in mind, the horse. But not just any horse, the prestigious steeds of European nobility, whose harnesses and bridles were as much a statement of power as the crowns their masters wore. In an era when carriages were the equivalent of private jets, Hermes would revolutionize how nobility traveled, one stitch at a time. His breakthrough came from understanding a simple truth. A horse's comfort translated directly to its rider's status. While other craftsmen focused on ornate decoration, Hermes obsessed over the precise tension of each strap, the exact flexibility of each joint. His innovations in weight distribution and leather manipulation created harnesses that made horses move more elegantly, turn more gracefully, and appear more noble than their peers. Within a decade, his creations became the obsession of Europe's royal stables. The Russian Tsar, notorious for his exacting standards, commissioned entire collections for his imperial horses. Napoleon III, after witnessing his horses' transformed gait, granted Hermes exclusive contracts and the title of Emperor's Harness Maker. But what truly set Hermes apart wasn't just his skill, it was his radical philosophy. Perfection could not be delegated. While the Industrial Revolution roared through Europe, with its promises of faster production and cheaper goods, Hermes moved deliberately at the speed of handcraft. Each piece passed through a single pair of hands from start to finish. Each stitch was counted and recounted, each leather selected personally after months of aging, each creation signed by its maker like a work of art. It was manufacturing heresy in an age of machines, and it worked. Soon, the waiting lists for his pieces grew longer than the guest lists at royal courts. But Thierry's greatest innovation wasn't in leather, it was in legacy. He created what would become the world's first luxury apprenticeship system, a method so rigorous it would later inspire modern luxury houses. Every heir to the Hermes name would spend a minimum of 10 years mastering each step of production before being allowed to touch the business ledgers. Power wasn't inherited, it was earned through calloused hands and countless hours of failed attempts. His sons learned to select leather by touch in darkness, to count stitches by feel, to hear the quality of a hide in the sound it made when stretched. As Europe's old order crumbled around them, this system allowed Hermes to evolve while others fell. When automobiles began replacing carriages, they seamlessly transferred their expertise to craft the world's first luxury car interiors, their understanding of horse comfort translating perfectly to human luxury. When aviation boomed, they designed the first soft leather travel bags, understanding how leather needed to move at high altitudes. Each crisis that destroyed other luxury houses only made Hermes more essential, their dedication to craft becoming more valuable as true handwork became increasingly rare. The turning point came in 1956. Grace Kelly, hounded by paparazzi, used her oversized Hermes bag to shield her first pregnancy from photographers. The moment went viral, 1950s style. Overnight, the Kelly bag became the most coveted accessory in the world. 25 years later, when Jane Birkin spilled her papers next to CEO Jean-Louis Dumas on a flight, complaining about finding a perfect weekend bag, the Birkin was born, now commanding six-figure prices and years-long waiting lists. But the true secret of Hermes wasn't in what they created, it was in what they destroyed. Millions of dollars in imperfect bags, burned. Entire collections of crocodile accessories, incinerated because the scales didn't catch light correctly. Even during the depths of the Great Depression, they refused to lower their standards to increase production. This devotion to perfection transformed their iconic orange boxes, originally adopted during World War II when their cream-colored boxes became unavailable, into symbols of unattainable excellence. Their silk scarves, requiring months to print in up to 46 colors, became more coveted than jewelry. Their workshops in Pantin became a fortress of craft, where every artisan still signs their work, where every hide is still inspected by hand, where time stands still in the pursuit of perfection. But by 2010, this dedication to tradition had caught the attention of a new kind of predator. One who saw Hermès's refusal to modernize not as principle, but as weakness. In the boardrooms of LVMH, Bernard Arnault was about to teach the family that in modern luxury, tradition was a vulnerability to be exploited. For the first time in 6 generations, the house that leather built was about to face a threat that no amount of perfect stitching could repair. Bernard Arnault learned the art of destruction from his father's construction business. In the industrial north of France, where factory chimneys replaced church spires, he watched how ancient buildings were demolished to make way for modern structures. It taught him a crucial lesson. Sometimes you have to break things apart to rebuild them stronger. He didn't inherit an empire. He engineered one with the cold precision of a financial assassin. In 1984, when he acquired the bankrupt textile company, Boussac, he didn't see the failing factories. He saw its crown jewel, Christian Dior. Within months, he had stripped away everything but the perfume division and the legendary fashion house. It was his first taste of luxury, and like all predators, he developed an appetite. By 2010, Arnault had earned his nickname, the Wolf in Cashmere. His methodology was surgical: identify family-owned luxury brands, exploit their internal divisions, and strike when they were most vulnerable. He understood that old money's greatest weakness was its adherence to tradition, its naive belief that gentlemen's agreements still meant something in the age of corporate raiders. And Christian Dior was just the beginning. Louis Vuitton, Dom Perignon, Moet and Chandon, one by one, the crown jewels of European luxury fell into his grasp. Each acquisition followed the same pattern: find the family's weakness, exploit internal rivalries, offer patriarchs prices that made loyalty waver. LVMH became his weapon, a corporate battering ram that transformed centuries of tradition into quarterly profits. What took generations to build, he could acquire in months. But Hermès was different. The family's unity had frustrated his advances for decades. Their shares, locked tight in a complex web of family trusts, seemed impenetrable. So Arnault did what wolves do best. He changed his approach. Through a labyrinth of equity swaps, cash-settled derivatives and offshore holding companies, LVMH quietly accumulated Hermès shares without triggering disclosure requirements. It was financial engineering at its most elegant and most ruthless. The date is the 23rd of October 2010, a Saturday morning like any other at the Hermès flagship store on Rue du Faubourg Saint-Honoré. Pierre-Alexis Dumas, the artistic director and 6th-generation family member, was reviewing quarterly reports when a number caught his eye. A routine stock analysis showed an anomaly. A significant portion of shares had changed hands without the family's knowledge. Within hours, the historic back room of the flagship store, where kings and emperors once ordered their saddles, became a war room. Family members rushed in from across Paris, their phones buzzing with increasingly alarming messages. The truth emerged like a slow-motion explosion. LVMH had secretly amassed a 17.1% stake in their company, over 1.4 billion euros worth of shares. The moment they realized what had happened, recalls financial analyst Marie-Claude Bertrand, it was like discovering a burglar had not only broken into your grandmother's house, but had been living in the attic for months, trying on her jewelry every night. The betrayal cut deeper than mere finances. For the Hermès clan, this wasn't just about money, it was about survival. Their great-great-grandfather had weathered wars, occupation, and revolution without surrendering control. Now, in the age of corporate raiders and hostile takeovers, they faced a predator more sophisticated than any that had come before. As night fell over Paris, the family emerged from their emergency meeting with a decision that would shape the future of luxury itself. The wolf in Cashmere was about to learn that some prey bite back, and that old money, when cornered, fights with the accumulated wisdom of centuries. In the leather workshops of Hermès, there is an old saying, "The strongest stitch is the one you do not see." As Bernard Arnault celebrated his apparent victory, the Hermès family was about to prove that 6 generations of secrets are not found in annual reports. Their counterattack began with a whisper. In the rarefied air of Paris's 8th arrondissement, family members slipped into law offices through back entrances. Private bankers were summoned to midnight meetings. A plan emerged that would become legendary in French corporate history, Operation H51. The concept was audacious in its simplicity. Create a holding company that would lock up the family's dispersed shares into an impenetrable fortress. But with over 250 family members spread across dozens of branches, each with their own interests and inheritances, unity seemed impossible. This was the moment Arnault had been waiting for, the moment when family ties would surely fray under pressure. Instead, something remarkable happened. Bertrand Puech, the family patriarch, began making calls. In the wood-panelled study of his right bank apartment, he reminded each family member of the oath their ancestors had taken. One cannot divide what patience has united. One by one, the branches of the family tree bent toward a common purpose. What Arnault did not understand, explains financial strategist Jean-Marc Leblanc, was that attacking Hermès was not like attacking other family companies. Every heir had grown up watching their parents stitch leather. Every child had learned that perfection requires sacrifice. They were not shareholders. They were guardians. H51 took shape with Swiss precision. The holding company would control 51% of Hermès shares, requiring a unanimous vote from family members to sell any stake. Each branch surrendered significant individual control for collective security. As one anonymous family member later revealed, we chose to become prisoners of our own creation, because the alternative was becoming prisoners of LVMH. The legal battles that followed were fought in courtrooms but won in archives. Family lawyers unearthed documents showing how LVMH had used complex financial instruments to sidestep disclosure requirements. The French Financial Markets Authority, AMF, launched an investigation. The family's case was built not just on legal arguments, but on a fundamental question. Could France's heritage be carved up like a corporate asset? In the gilded halls of the Paris Court of Appeal, Axel Dumas, then newly appointed CEO, stood before the judges and spoke not of profits, but of legacy. "We are not just defending a company," he declared. "We are defending a way of life." The courts agreed. LVMH was ordered to divest most of its Hermès shares, distributing them to its own shareholders. The wolf in Kashmir had finally met his match, not in financial firepower, but in something far more formidable: family solidarity. But the true victory was not in the courtroom. It was in the quiet aftermath, when the family gathered in their original workshop on Rue de Faubourg Saint-Honoré. There, surrounded by the tools and traditions of their trade, they realized they had done more than protect their company. They had proven that in an age of corporate raiders and hostile takeovers, the strongest defense is not money, it is memory. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. For Hermès, it was served in orange boxes. By 2014, when LVMH was forced to distribute its Hermès shares, the stock price had tripled, turning Arnault's defeat into a €1 billion lesson in family resilience. But the true aftermath of the luxury war was not measured in euros. In the workshops of Pantin, where artisans still hand-stitch bags exactly as they did in 1837, something fundamental had shifted. The family had not just survived, they had evolved. Under Axel Dumas' leadership, Hermès embarked on a quiet revolution. Their fortress of tradition became a laboratory of controlled innovation. New workshops opened, but with a twist. Each one built around a single master artisan, each maintaining the one craftsman, one piece philosophy. The waiting lists for Birkin bags grew longer, the prices climbed higher, and the family's grip on control grew stronger. The numbers tell their own story. From 2014 to 2024, Hermès' value soared past $200 billion, making it worth more than many of the brands LVMH had acquired combined. But in the family's private chambers, a different metric mattered: 0. The number of family members who had sold their shares since the attack. Today, the 6th generation of Hermès craftsmen learn their trade under portraits of their ancestors. Each morning, before the first stitch is sewn, before the first piece of leather is cut, the artisans gather to inspect their tools, a ritual unchanged since Thierry Hermès first opened his doors. But now, they work with a new understanding, that their craftsmanship is not just about creating luxury goods, but about preserving something far more rare: independence. In the end, Bernard Arnault's greatest gift to Hermès was not his unwanted attention, but the unity it forced upon a family that already thought it was united. The modern Hermès empire stands not as a target, but as a testament, proof that in the brutal world of luxury consolidation, tradition is not a weakness to be exploited, but a fortress to be maintained. Today, Hermès International trades at €2,135 per share, with a market capitalization exceeding €220 billion, making it worth more than Chanel and Cartier combined. The family still controls 66.6% of shares through their H51 holding company. In the decade since the LVMH battle, Hermès has proven that tradition can be profitable. Their revenue has tripled to €11.6 billion annually, with operating margins above 40%, the highest in the luxury industry. Their waiting lists for Birkin and Kelly bags now stretch to 3 years. At their workshops in Pantin, the 7th generation has begun their apprenticeships. Among them is Marie-Agnès Dumas, 22 years of age, and the 4 times great-granddaughter of Thierry Hermès. Like all family members, she started in the leather workshop, learning the same stitching techniques that built their empire. LVMH's Bernard Arnault, now 75, has turned his attention elsewhere. His company recently acquired Tiffany & Co. for $15.8 billion, and his son Antoine has taken an increasingly visible role in operations. When asked about Hermès at a recent shareholders' meeting, he smiled and changed the subject. The luxury industry continues to consolidate. Kering, Richemont, and LVMH now control most major brands, but Hermès remains defiantly independent. Their workshops still produce only 6,000 to 7,000 Birkin bags annually, despite demand for 10 times that number. Axel, CEO and 6th-generation family member, still begins each board meeting with his grandfather's words. Quality is not an act, it is a habit. The company has no debt, €9.7 billion in cash reserves, and a commitment to maintain their independence for at least another generation. In an industry increasingly driven by algorithms and instant gratification, Hermès' dedication to craft seems almost radical. Yet their stock has outperformed every luxury competitor over the past decade. As one analyst noted, they are not selling bags, they are selling time. And now, we'd love to see you in the comments. Which brand do you love more, Hermès or Louis Vuitton? We can't wait to hear your thoughts on this wild ride of a story. And with that said, thanks for joining us for another episode of Old Money Luxury. Cheers, until next time.